for a certain amount of CO2 increase.
I'm not an atmospheric scientist, so I ask, is this the latest explanation for this climate people is the La Nina? Is this PDO something to do with La Nina?
Yes. Yes. In fact, some people think that the PDO is caused by El Nino and La Nina, that there's a nonlinear thing going on, and once you get a lot of El Ninos, let's say, it then causes a positive phase of the PDO. Yes, there are theories that they're connected, that the El Nino, La Nina, and PDO are connected in some complex, nonlinear way. We don't understand.
Theory.
Huh?
Theory.
Well,
Theoretical model.
statistically, they are related. If you look at the last 100 years of El Nino and La Nina and the last 100 years of PDO, there is some relationship between them. But yeah, it's a theoretical model that says that El Nino and La Nina can cause a PDO.
You told that you showed the 3 studies and they were not interested in the media, but I think that's irrelevant. How is it in the next IPCC reports? Is it considered in them? Or
No.
will it be?
Well, yeah, that I don't know. We will have to wait and see.
Isn't the procedure already going on years and years? They look for the studies and then compile.
Yes, well, yes, but I don't know whether they're doing that now. I think there is work on an interim report where some of them are looking at the more recent research. But I guarantee you they will find a way. All they have to do is say they don't believe the satellite data. That's what they've done till now. My point is, I don't know whether we will ever have proof that I am right or they are right or anyone else is right. All we have is pieces of evidence, and people choose which evidence they are going to believe and which evidence they're not going to believe. Unfortunately, that's what we're stuck with.
Yes, I'd like to follow up on what you just said. My name is Matti Virtanen. About the falsifiability of either side's main arguments. What kind of data would you yourself consider as sufficient for yourself to change your mind? Or what kind of data do you think that the other side would need in order for the IPCC main line to have been falsified? And do you think that they would, with some kind of temperature change, that they would actually do? Admit that they were wrong.
That's I don't know. Clear evidence of what the feedbacks are in the climate system. I feel like I'm getting close to having very good evidence that this should be looked at. Okay, this should not be ignored, because this is about as strong of evidence as I've seen for anything. I haven't shown you everything. We've submitted this paper to Journal of Geophysical Research, where we show a lot more evidence that supports negative feedback. And if there's negative feedback in the climate system, then we don't have to worry about man-made global warming. But there will always be an uncertainty. There's always going to be an uncertainty. And then you also asked, what if we keep cooling? Yeah, I think if we keep cooling, the IPCC is going to have to change their story. And what's interesting is, what was the very first slide I showed, the IPCC claim, the most important statement of the IPCC was that it is very likely, is that what they say? Very likely that the warming in the last 50 years is man-made.
That most of the warming, which means more than 50% of the warming.
Oh, okay,
That's what they say.
okay, let me see.
But it is very likely.
Yeah, 90% likely. Very likely is 90% likely that 50% is correct.
Which means they admit it's possible they are wrong, right? So they can always say, well, we've learned more about the science now, and it's still consistent with our statement, right?
Isn't that
They-
the way it should be? It evolves, the science.
Oh, that's true. But I think the conclusions that have come out of the IPCC have not been warranted. I think the work that has been done on man-made global warming, all it has done is establish a plausible mechanism. Man-made global warming is a plausible hypothesis. But then to say that therefore it can't be natural, there's been very little work done on that. The IPCC says we can only get global warming if we put in CO2. Well, that's because we don't understand natural climate change. They don't know what to put into the model. And what I'm saying is, all they would have to put in is a change in cloudiness. And you can cause global warming or global cooling. But we do not have the satellite observations, which is what you would need, to document a long-term change in cloudiness. We would need highly accurate satellite observations of global cloud cover to better than 1%, probably better than 0.5%, for the last 50 years to know whether there are natural cloud changes that cause global warming. We don't have the data. And they will not admit that uncertainty. They just say, the only known mechanism is man-made CO2. Well, yeah, it's the only known mechanism. We're the ones that produce the CO2. Have you ever heard of the anthropic principle? You know, we think it's important because we produce the CO2. What if clouds were doing the climate modeling? What would the clouds think are important in climate change?
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt a good discussion, but it's time for us to continue our program and say thank you to Dr. Spencer.
You're welcome.